Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to another session of Living World of Darkness, New York by Night. Uh, Tonight, we are continuing on from a previous scene. We're in Harlem, the part of Harlem that falls under Mitchell, the Limey Rigby's domain, and he's currently outside of uh, Cole's Cellar, which is a jazz club, a basement club in one of the slightly more upmarket parts of Harlem, slightly trendier parts. And where we set our scene, there's bodies littering the outside of the club. Limey is stood in the middle of the street with a small group of men behind him, all of them carrying weapons of some kind. So, pool cues, koshes, broken bottles, things like that. And in front of him, there are two cars parked at a slant. And currently, there are two men up on their feet and standing, and the rest are all sort of sluggishly coming to and crawling back towards their cars. And we have Elena, the young gangrel, Frank Green's child, badly hiding in a nearby alley, ducked behind a trash can, watching the whole thing pan out. And as she's watching, she sees Limey take a few steps towards the two men who are still on their feet. And he says, "Listen, crawl back to your hole, tell your boss that I sent you, and then say that if he's got the time, I'd like to have a word, because what's happened here tonight ain't happening again." To which, as we saw in the previous scene, the reply is, "You'll get yours, Limey, you'll get yours, you bastard. Nobody messes with the mad dog, nobody." At which point, Limey makes that he's not going to make an intimidation roll. I'm just going to ad-lib this scene. He takes a step towards them and brandishes the kosh, and his men filing behind him. And not liking their odds, the men jump in the cars and drive away down the street. There's a few people who are watching as things wind down. Limey shoots them a glance and they walk off. The bouncer's slumped in a heap by the door. He begins to get up and dust himself off, as do the rest of the men who are lying prone on the ground. Now, Limey takes a look around, and from where Elena's hiding, she'll see him take a couple of steps towards the alley, stop, light a cigarette, and then walk straight up to the trash can and kind of tap the ash from his cigarette into it. He says, "Ooh, you're going to be hiding. You want to do better than that."
As Limey's come across, she's sort of flattened herself against her back and tucked her knees in the whole, maybe if I don't move, he won't see me move. As he speaks, she'll just look up through her sunnies and go, "Yeah, sorry. It's a very exciting time, though. I was distracted by you."
You're distracted by me. Hey, you're not made of stone. He kind of gives a cocky sort of grin, and just a little bit of the Jack the Lad slips out. And then it kind of reins back in as he takes another drag on his cigarette. "Hey, if you want to sit out here by the trash, we can do that, but you want to come and step inside? A little bit less smelly."
Elena just sort of looks left and looks right and looks left and right again, like she's worried about someone seeing her, and she'll sort of lean forward to Limey. "I've never bitten anyone before."
2 secs. I need to make a quick composure roll to see what happens here. If dice
She
stream,
does that, I'm really sorry.
unfortunately, your doe eyes melting his heart will not be a modifier. Let me see, self-control, I think that's a 4. I think it's a 4. Let me just check on my character sheet. here somewhere. I know it is.
I hope you have some.
Yes, I do. Self-control 4. Good.
Right.
Uh, it's not a frenzy check, by the way. No, he passes
I
with two.
don't care. Either way, it'd be hilarious.
Um, make
Because then
a
you have to explain
perception.
yourself to Frank.
Make a perception empathy.
No, the one cancels out the 7.
Oh, in that case, his face remains sort of just stone. He kind of doesn't give away anything that would give his feelings on the matter except his next words as he holds a hand down to her and extends his hand to pull her up.
She still looks very sheepish and quite embarrassed, but she'll take the hand and stand and not really dust herself off, but just pull her jacket closer to her, almost like hugging herself after she's gotten up. Still looking reasonably ashamed and sheepish.
Is she looking away from him?
Yeah.
Is she like looking down?
Looking down into the side, the whole, it's like when you know you've done something bad, but you have to justify something. So you're just sort of looking away, not wanting to make eye contact.
She'll feel Limey's hand, like sort of just a finger, tap her on the chin, like prompting her to lift her head and meet his gaze.
And she does so.
Don't bite people. Not, not here. You get caught doing that sort of thing, the level of damage you can do with these, people start to ask questions, inconvenient questions that need to be covered up.
Here I was lecturing you on that not half an hour ago.
Yeah, you were.
Mm.
He kind of gives a wry smile. Like, yeah, yeah, you were, but that's fine. It's alright. Yeah, keeps a man humble. It's good to remember that you're not, I don't know, that you're not some all-knowing puppet master when you live in the world we do. Anyway, he takes a drag on the cigarette and then flicks it into the bin and exhales the smoke.
I'm just gonna have to quickly make a roll for myself to see whether I'm stupid. Yeah, I'm stupid. Okay. Elena was sort of just at the mention of being humble and the entire thing that Limey's just said, she'll just sort of look up into his eyes almost pleadingly through her studies, but she can't really see her eyes. I don't know what came over me. I just, whenever Frank's in danger, I just can't help myself. I just don't know. Is this normal?
Hey. Don't, don't go getting yourself in a tiz over it. Come on, look, let's step inside, we'll talk.
Okay.
Yeah,
Elena will follow Limey in.
you're surprised to hear that there are no sirens in the air. There's no sirens at all, and this is Harlem. Like, there's sirens a lot. Like, you can hear one in the distance, but it's not coming any closer. But
Yep.
as he sort of as he walks into the doorway, there is a man in front of these stairs. It looks like what was that? What are you rolling?
I'm just doing something, don't mind me.
There is a man, sort of curled up in a ball. He is the only person left from the gang that tried to raid the club. He's not in a very good way. He's a bit pale, and you recognise him as the one you bit. Now the bouncer's crouched over him, and it looks like he's got a phone in his hand. Looks like he's going to call someone to come and pick him up. And
Ellen's actually going to just sort of back over to Limey and just go, he's not going to turn into one of us, is he? Because then I'll be in real trouble.
So if I'm in real trouble, I just woke a housemate up. But yeah, he sort of looks at you, kind of tilts his head like, What? And the
Hasn't been explained to her.
no, it hasn't. Apparently not. He just before he walks down the stairs, he kind of whispers something in the bouncer's ear, and the bouncer nods and starts dialing another number into his phone that isn't 999. Um, and he carries on walking down the stairs. As they cross the now empty bar, he heads into. Oh, yeah, I'm going. Sorry, housemate pissed off. He, as he heads down the stairs into the now relatively empty bar, he takes you over into a little side booth and sort of gestures you in.
And Elena will just go on in and sit down and again just cross her hands in front of her and stare down at her thumbs for a tiny bit. I'm really sorry. I know that I probably put you out and stuff. I don't know how I can make it better, but I'll try.
Funny thing about that, the street dog getting the call, a stray dog, while the bar fight was going on, was passing and got startled and bit someone's leg. Pretty nasty bite. You might have to lose the muscle.
She shouldn't have attacked Frank. She
No.
says matter-of-factly, looking at her thumbs still.
And he sort of holds his hands up. Well, I won't be attacking Frank anytime soon. Now,
Please.
no, hey, look. Huh?
I'm not dangerous.
Tell it to that bloke up there.
I suppose you're right. I'm sorry.
Look, hey, don't be. It sounds like you haven't been given the full rundown of this thing.
Elena just sort of gives Limey the another adorable look and shrugs and goes, maybe I tried to run before I could walk. Maybe now it's time to learn to walk.
Well, Frank's your sire. Maybe pointing
I
you in the
know,
right.
and he is. He's doing a very good job.
Oh, considering everything he's been through, very good job. But that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, you know you don't turn somebody into a kindred by just biting them, right?
I do now, I suppose.
Okay. He kind of lowers his head on the desk and folds his hand in front of him. To turn someone, you've got to drink all their blood or drain their blood somehow. And then you feed them some of your own. That's what makes them change.
Oh.
But don't go doing that without permission. The prince will kill you. No, literally, kill
Oh,
you.
no. Wouldn't do anything like that.
Second of all, biting people, it's not like when you're a human. You bite someone now, it's going to really hurt them. You know, courtesy of the whole vampiric condition. So if you're going to bite someone, at least make sure you're feeding on them, or that you're not going to get caught for ripping the person's jugular out. You know?
The lights were off. And
The lights were off, and there's no CCTV in that part of the building. So I do understand what you mean, but no excuse. When it's life or death, you can bite. When you're not going to get caught, you can bite. Next time, just pick a bottle up and smash it over his head.
okay. Sorry, Limey. I know that I probably put you out in a bad way, and I'm really sorry. And I don't know what else I can say. I'm sorry.
You don't need to say anything else, it's fine. We're all new ones.
So we're good?
Hmm?
So we're good?
Yeah. A more vindictive harpy would probably say that you owed him a boon or something, but nah. Nah, I'm not going to take a boon or anything for that. Nobody needs to know. I
You're a
like you,
good man.
you're pretty smart.
Apparently not tonight.
You
She'll just
didn't know.
smile at herself.
He'll sort of smile when he sees us smile, and he'll say, "You didn't know." Every day is a school day. That's what my father used to say to me.
The moment we stop learning is the moment we die. That's what my father said to me.
Well, of course, some people buck the trend, and he kind of gestures between the two of them.
So what now?
Now, well, I want to first apologise for what happened out there. It's an unfortunate thing. It's just part of my business these days.
It's an interesting business that you've gotten yourself into. Seems that you've gone and messed with some mad dogs.
You
But it
big
seems you can handle it.
Mad Dog's a puppy. Let's just say, to get into Harlem, I had to do it rather quickly, and to do so, needed to take some rather decisive action. And when you take decisive action around Harlem, you're going to step on someone else's toes. Uh, he was a contact of mine. I wanted him to help me move into the area. He started trying to push me around. You got to understand that I'm usually just a middleman at best. Right? But I figured, after 50 years of this, it was time to try and take some of the power for myself. If that doesn't sound too, I don't know, shallow or conceited.
I don't know how it sounds. All I know is my books, Limey. I have no real life experience, let alone any experience as a kindred. If you've been working at something for a long time, it's not a matter of what you deserve, it's what you can achieve and accomplish. At least it's what Sun Tzu said to me through the pages. Nobody deserves anything, but if you want to make something happen, then it's within your grasp.
You read Sun
It's a matter
Tzu.
of effort and ambition. Of course I do.
A little intellectual, aren't you?
I do try.
No, but
Mind you, I've never been one to follow Machiavelli that much.
you don't like Machiavelli.
I didn't
Interesting.
say I didn't like it, I just haven't got the gumption for it.
Nah, it's all a bit, I don't know, all a bit too et tu brute, you know what I mean? But it's, I don't know. All I'm saying is there's a reason the prince is called the prince, you dig?
Mm-hmm. Still haven't met the dude. But then
You,
again, just a fledgling.
you've met Silas.
Hang on, Silas's prince? He was seneschal last I spoke to him.
Oh, yeah, Silas is prince now.
Ah, by force or by guile?
Ah, for once in my life, at the season of a new prince, I can say neither. Unless his guile was subtle enough that I don't pick up on it. The seneschal always is next in line for the throne. No, he was chosen for the position by the Archon, uh, and his claim was backed unanimously by the city.
Omoshiroi. The
What?
Archon. Oh,
Oh,
it's Japanese.
I don't speak Japanese.
Neither do I. I know a few phrases.
It's more than I
It's
know.
it's a habit. It's more than anything. It's a habit.
Sorry.
I used to live with this Japanese housemate when I was studying botany, and she would always just default to Japanese whenever she was angry or happy or in an extreme state of emotion. So I've just started picking things up.
Huh.
So don't be too Don't be too put out if I start yelling "ooh kawaii" at things that are kawaii,
Kawaii.
which means
He
cute.
looks.
Cute.
Oh, it means cute. Okay. All right, that makes sense. He kind of he seems to understand, even though it's completely alien to him. But yeah, he kind of nods and smiles. So like, obviously, you know what I do. Uh,
I have an inkling. That's partially what the role beforehand was about. The fact that there are sirens, but no sirens going towards the obvious brawl means that would mean that you have someone in the bureau that knows to turn a blind eye. Are you happy to give me that?
um, yeah, someone somewhere has pulled some strings. What were your successes?
About 5.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
It was intelligence
Limey.
perception.
Hmm? Oh yeah, yeah.
Intelligence perception.
It makes complete sense. Limey, or someone close to him has made a call that has stopped the police from getting nearby. It's simple as really. Like,
Hmm.
um, but yeah. Does she give away anything that would let me know that the pennies kind of drop? In fact, no, she wouldn't have done. Uh,
No, but I can roll a manipulation to try and not do anything stupid if you want.
Not what do you mean? Not do anything stupid.
No, she's just making polite conversation.
Nah. If you want to do something stupid, do something stupid. If you don't, like, it's cool. I mean, unless you want to make that roll, totally cool for me.
How about I do a self-control to see whether I can stop myself from bragging? No, okay, cool. She'll do something stupid. Um, by something stupid, it just lets you know that she knows.
Okay, cool.
All right. It's obvious that you have that you have your fingers in many pies. Even she'll gesture outside to those that would maybe turn a blind eye to the events that just transpired. What else?
He kind of stares at you like, so not with his mouth open, but he kind of looks at you quizzically, like, who is this girl? Like, yeah, yeah, I've got my fingers in a couple of pies. Uh,
But I suppose that's what you do. Isn't that part of the job description of being a harpy? Sorry, I'm very new.
oh,
I
well,
don't get it.
the harpy, these are my mortal interests and my mortal contacts. I mean, as the harpy, it does well to be a social creature, but they're mostly connections I had before I got this gig.
It still
Um,
serves the same purpose. If you're going to be a social creature, then you're in the spotlight. If you're in the spotlight, things will happen. And if things happen, then sometimes you need people to turn a blind eye. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Cocky little thing, aren't you, really?
Intelligent, I can't help it.
I'm sure. Well, no, I don't mind letting you know that yes, as a result of my various dealings, I am known to have a few fingers in a few different pies that can help me out when I get in a tight spot. You dig?
I dig. Um, but rethink Wadsworth, man. I don't know enough to know exactly what it is you can do. But I'm just seeing it
It
as a logistical nightmare.
is a logistical nightmare, but you've got to get some plans on the table. Nobody's doing anything, Elena. You've got to understand that.
Yes, we are. We just did something an hour ago. We met. We talked about it. We're organizing a meeting.
Make a
Okay.
perception empathy. That seems
Alright.
to be the theme tonight.
Ah! Fuck you ones. Nope. Didn't get it.
Oh, in that case, he seems completely cool, really chill. But he turns around and sort of says, "Talking can only achieve so much. Now, and you're talking to a bloke who generally makes his living by being able to outtalk people, and sometimes only gets you so far. Take, I don't know, Mad Dog. This thing that happened at the club tonight. Talking to Mad Dog gave me a load of work. To have my demands met for Harlem, I needed to jump over backwards to get what I wanted. So, I took the situation into my own hands and applied a little bit of pressure on him, at which point he acquiesced it. Sometimes you have to take the direct approach, and, well, while it's not the best plan in the world, and it needs some work, I mean, when it comes to the Sabat, talking just ain't enough.
Why are you so hell-bent on revenge?
I'm not hell-bent on revenge.
You seem to be. You certainly tried to talk Frank into it.
I wasn't trying to talk Frank into revenge. People react to different incentives, and I thought Frank's incentive might have been along the lines of vengeance. I mean,
Vengeance
as far as
clouds
I'm
judgment.
concerned. Pardon?
If ever you've read Sun Tzu, vengeance and revenge and anger just clouds your judgment. Makes you do stupid things. If you've read Sun Tzu, you'd know that too.
I haven't read Sun Tzu. No. He bristles minutely and kind of rolls his shoulder in his jacket. No, I don't know. I'm a relatively cool customer, even for a bruiser. I'm not really the angry type. The reason I want the Sabat gone is because the Sabat, frankly, are bad for business. I don't want to have my assets attacked, or the assets of my allies attacked, by a group of cultish, sociopathic, ego complex waving creatures of the damned. They're a fanatical bunch. That's the problem with the Sabbat. That's why the Sabbat feel happy walking into someone's house and torching it. That's why they're happy, I don't know, turning coat and wantonly destroying members of the Camarilla. The Sabbat are chaotic, fanatic, heretical. There's no reason with these people. Having them in the city is a danger in itself. I mean, how long until they get Frank again? How long until they come for me, come for the prince? If we don't
You're right.
start asserting ourselves in this city, we'll lose it.
You're quite right, Limey. And that is partially what the meeting will be about, I dare say. I just... I don't know what I mean to say. Sometimes words just... There's a line there which is reminiscent to something that happened a couple of hours ago between her and Frank. Sometimes words just can't express. And instead she'll just put a hand on Limey's shoulder quite in a very companionish type of way and just sort of pat him once on the shoulder. Just be careful. I believe that you can make a difference. I do.
Listen, I must apologise for monologuing. It's a faux pas to hog the ball of conversation. I just,
Elena just smiles. It's the prerogative of the literate and the oratory to monologue.
I like you. I know, it's, I just, I worry. I saw inside Fort Wadsworth, and I know Frank's probably told you some things about it. And a group like that has no place in this city. And I'm eager, a little bit too eager perhaps, to get rid of him.
Never be too eager to do anything, Limey. It leads to desperation. Desperation leads to mistakes.
See, the thing is, before I came to this city, I genuinely was the type to just sit back and let it all happen around me. In London, I was more privy to picking up a phone than actual leg work. Uh, sure, man's got to make a living sometimes, you know. A guy's got to work for somebody else, you know. But when it came to kindred society, I was a lurker. And then ever since I've come to New York, I haven't really, uh, haven't really had the opportunity to do much lurking. It's all been relatively uh, all stations go. Do you know what I'm saying?
Elena just sort of smiles, doesn't make eye contact or anything, just smiles, her eyes still hidden by her dark tinted glasses, and just sort of nods. I guess it's only so long you can be nonchalant. If you haven't read Sun Tzu, then I dare say you haven't read Plato either. So I'll be so kind as to quote that the penalty for refusing to take part in politics is that you are ruled by your inferiors.
Plato sounds like a smart guy.
Yeah. Although I'm not too sure of the translations. Herodotus is better for translations. Mind you, if I could get my hands on the original Latin, I'd be a happy, happy girl.
Uh, you just said a whole lot of words that didn't mean much to me. But that's only my own ignorance, really.
Look, Limey, it's admirable of you to want to call this gathering, to have it spoken out, to have the entire society that we have work as one to removing this threat from our city. I think it's a noble cause. The only thing that I worry about is exactly what you said to me before. You have been in Fort Wadsworth. You know what they can do. You've seen it firsthand. And perhaps in a way, what you are wanting to accomplish quickly is a knee-jerk reaction. Take a few moments ago, in that stairwell. If I had a modicum of sense to me, I would have just simply taken a bottle to that man's head. But my knee-jerk reaction was to bite. And it turned out to be the wrong reaction. And I don't want you to make the wrong reaction on a scale that could impact the city as a whole. You understand my concern?
How old are you?
23?
Like, is that
Human
including?
years?
No,
Oh,
you've been dead for.
a month and a half?
Stop being so young and so clever. You're making
I'm
the
sorry.
oldies look bad.
Elena just
He's
sort of
joking.
tries not to smile at that.
He's joking. Like he's um, yeah. No, look, please don't misunderstand me. I never had any intentions to run in all guns blazing. That's not how I roll. But I do. I suppose in the lack of support and action, one so one has to sometimes take matters into their own hands, as we've said before. And well, don't get me wrong, it wasn't me saying like, yeah, next week I'm gonna have the place bombed and razed to the ground and set on fire and have a volcano erupt. I just meant that it's an option. Like it's a possibility, but I suppose I was attacking it at a rather how to say the night draws on. I'm losing the words. I suppose I was going at a rather I don't know a slightly less smart way about it. I suppose I could have taken into account that this would be a plan that, if it were to take place, would take weeks, if not months, of planning.
It would.
It's easy to forget sometimes that we have an eternity to play these things out.
Even human lifetimes, plans that move mountains don't happen overnight. I don't need to be kindred to understand that. The best laid plans take time. And the other thing that concerns me, Limey, is that I don't know how well you know Frank, but you don't know me that well. And while I have my own beef with the Sabbat, as it were, because they kidnapped my sire, how is it that you know you can trust me and speak to me so openly? I don't mean to make you wary of me. Your secrets are safe with me because I have felt the sting of the Sabbat within my own kindred family. But be cautious. The more people that know, the more people can tell. And if you are wanting to snatch it out from under their noses, then the less people that know, the more likely you are to succeed, no?
Well, you're the only two I've told, aside from, well, of course, the Prince and Jan Peterzoon, who entertained the same plan about a month ago. Uh, and I told you two because Frank's the sheriff, and of course, there's no way he holds any loyalty to the Sabbat, and by stint, you two seem close. So, I don't know, as a guy who doesn't
Perhaps
really trust many people, I chose to trust you. Can you understand that?
I can. Just under a breath, when Limey says, you two seem close, just under a breath, Elena just sort of says, yeah, maybe too close.
Perception, empathy.
Do it!
Ooh, no, no successes. No successes.
Okay.
Okay, so
Keep
he
playing
thinks
it.
no, but
I tell you what, I've learned a lot. Frank has taught me a lot in relation to the animals and how I can use them as my eyes. If you want eyes on Wadsworth, I'll be happy to oblige. If you want scouts to make sure that your gathering, your Elysium, won't be compromised, happy to offer that too. I'm very young, Limey. I'm very new to this, but there are certain tricks that I do have, and I'm happy to offer them.
well, that's very good of you. I would like to take you up on the offer, especially scouting Wadsworth,
Of course.
because, well, we need to have some eyes on that place. And well, a lot of the boys I've asked to check it out didn't seem to want to go back again. Said it was
I
too
can't
hot.
promise much. I can't promise much, Limey, but I promise that I'll try.
Bless you, Elaine. Now, so you and Frank,
Yes?
what's the deal there? Why do he embrace you?
No word of a lie, Limey. I honestly don't know.
How do you like it? Are you taken to this whole vampire thing?
What's the point of disliking it? It's not like I can go back.
It's just the way things are now.
Just the way things are now.
And Frank, what's he like as a sire?
I have nothing to compare him to. So good, I suppose.
But I mean, like, me and my sire, we were a bit different to you and Frank. We had a business relationship. Uh, I mean, he seems quite fatherly towards you.
And I probably annoy the crap out of him. My perpetual questions, but it's what happens.
I have rolled my perception empathy to try and get a little into how she actually feels about Frank.
Okay,
Just in that
I see.
statement where she
This
says,
is
like, he probably finds me annoying, you know, like, and in that moment he's going to try and pick out some of the feelings towards him. And I have two successes.
yeah. What you're going to get, and I'm going to give you a bit of backing throughout the conversation that we've had already. Incredibly protective. Like you couldn't even say a bad word against Frank without her having to do a frenzy check. Very much doting, almost in a way, and yeah, two successes. I won't give you the next bit, not yet. But very much, you fuck with Frank, you fuck with her, for all that it's worth. And you've seen that as well. She would follow that man through fire if she had to.
He kind of smiles. He's a good guy. Uh, I mean, I've already explained my own feelings on the matter and why I dislike this or that, and why I think they shouldn't be here. What they did to Frank, how does that sit with you?
She just looks down, almost looks like she's tearing up for a moment there. She just looks down at her thumbs again, at her hands crossed in front of her. When he went missing, I didn't know what to think. I was very new. I barely knew what I was, and then my one link to it was gone, Limey. You've trusted me, so I'm going to trust you with the whole truth of it. There were people that wanted to harm him, DuPont, and the Sabat and all the rest of them. I fell into their traps, I suppose, in one way or another, but they got him, not me. Part of me thinks that they should have gotten me and left Frank to be. But then I suppose that's just normal guilt, human guilt, I suppose.
Do you mean you were
Oh,
with?
Wendy! Go on.
Do you mean you were with Frank when they took him, or you just feel like you should have been there?
No, DuPont stalked me.
Once stalked you.
We spoke a few times. And I hate to admit it, but some of what he said made sense to me.
I had a run-in with a member of the Sabat. Did the same thing to me. To be very persuasive.
When they brought him back, Limey, when you brought him back, You know what condition he was in. You were there when I first saw him.
Yeah, I
There
was.
was something inside me that died that night. How how can any one creature do that to another living soul? These fiends, they have no heart, they have no soul. Does that make them less a living thing? Does it make them less a living thing to be respected? I don't know. I don't have that answer and I'm confused about it. I know that if they tried to take Frank again, or anyone that I cared about, you, Rose, maybe even Silas, I don't know him that well, but knowing now what it is that they would do, I would lay down my life for those that have shown me kindness to stop that happening to them. But I'm just so confused, Limey.
To answer your question, none of us are living, so I suppose that rules that out.
But does that give us less of a right to... We may not be alive, but does that give us less of a right to live? Are we still creatures under the one canopy of existent sentient beings? Do we still have that spark within us? And if
I
so, go on.
apologies. I think that you choose yourself. You make that decision. You know, you choose to become a monster, or you choose to cover up that monster. And I don't know.
You
To
say
use
that
the common phrase, masquerade as your previous humanity. But I think, even though it may be a fickle thing and it may be an uphill battle sometimes, I think clinging on to that and standing up for something that's good or what's right is what separates a person from those monsters in Fort Wadsworth who happily carry out that sort of barbarism and then explain it away, as one gentleman did to me, by saying they're simply trying to enlighten people to a truth. So I
in a
think,
twisted way, Limey, I think they might be onto something, but they're going about it very, very, very horribly.
no, don't matter what you're onto, your argument's null and void when you start racking up the bodies to make a point.
Nobody should be denied self-exploration, and that's partially why I went out into the wilds. I wanted to see who I still was underneath it all.
And did you find
And
yourself?
if I did, ironically enough, found out that I don't need to just look at her clothes and the scant silver cheap jewelry that she's wearing. I don't need any of this. If I wanted to, I could just leave out into the wilds and just be myself by myself. I don't need modern society, and that's what I needed to rediscover, because it gives one a kind of freedom to know that you're not bound to any one single place. Self-discovery and realizing who and what it is you are within your own soul, and not taking into account what it is that you're told to be. That, I think, is the most valuable thing that you can find within your own mind, within your own soul. If you want to attempt to push yourself towards barbarism, then that must be something that is within your soul. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right one iota. But if that's the way you want to push yourself, then perhaps that is what you are. And perhaps that is how you will be dealt with. Doesn't change the fact that that is what your soul is. And so perhaps it's a blessing that they all congregate under the one banner that we may better identify them. You say, Limey, that we can only become the beast or hide it. I don't want to become the beast at all. And I think I have that choice. And I think that I will do just that.
That's a pretty nice conclusion you come to. I mean, I know what they say about the gangrel, you know, being a little bit closer to that animal inside, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said for having that having that view on the world. You know, you're not going to become the beast inside, so you're going to stick to your guns. And if the human in you acknowledges that you don't want to, that you don't want to be inside a human society all the time, the human in you wants to run in the woods. You go and run in the woods. You run for your life. Like you said, you got to be true to who you are. That's the thing. I suppose if we're being true to who we are, we all have that beast inside of us. All of the kindred. It's it's what we struggle with every day. As the Bruiser, I can say that. When you choose to join the Sabbat, you choose to acknowledge and accept that beast. That beast is what will allow you to rack up the body count, to stake a person one sliver of it at a time. Because that's your enlightenment. And I guess, to bring this full circle, sure, maybe my plan wasn't all that, but we need to get the beast out of our city somehow.
That we do. That we do, Limey.
You'll have to excuse me, I'm sounding incredibly existential. It must be my old age.
How rude of me to even consider asking how old you are.
Genuinely ponders while I check my character sheet.
May have noted that was a statement, not a question, but if you want to give me the answer, go right ahead.
Wait. Oh, wait. Oh, what? Like she's saying she will ask her. I'm confused. What?
How incredibly rude of me to even consider asking you how old you are. But if you want to volunteer the information, she's not asking directly.
No. He'll tell you. Like, he's alright. He sort of thinks to himself for a moment and then he says, okay, well, like, I mean, I look 25, and to be this gorgeous forever, it's a treat, I can tell you that much. But I think I'm 50. No, 70. 75? I mean, I know in the grand scheme of things that's not very old, but still.
She'll give you a little one-sided smile. Does to impress me.
Oh, I tell you, it's like late 50s, early 60s. Oh, forget about it. That was a great time to be immortal.
So I can imagine. And what now, Limey? I mean, I have to get going, Frank said. 3:30 at the cave. Don't be late, or there'll be
Yeah.
a beating. And he means it. He means it. He's
I hate
throwing off
bed.
enough buildings.
Okay. Well, what now? I'd say I'm going to stare into this drink a little more, and then I'm going to smoke a cigarette, and then I'm going to go to bed. As for us, just, think about what I said. You know, you know, all of it, the Sabbat, you staying who you are, because that's important. Trust me. Nobody tells you that at the start of all this. Remembering who you are and sticking to it, that's very important. So a lot of us don't. And other than that, I'll bid you adieu.
Thanks, Limey. And she'll just sort of give you a little grin. Thanks for cleaning that up. I'm still really sorry.
Everyone gets
Um,
it. Everyone in this one. It's groovy. It's groovy.
and Elena will just start walking out, but then sort of just turn on her heel and dig in her backpack, just sort of turns it around so it's in front of her, unzips it, looks through it. There's a couple of books in there, and she'll sort of hold one out, flip through it just very quickly, just run through the pages to make sure there's no bookmarks or any notes that she has left in there, and then hand it out to you. And she gives you a copy of Musashi, Book of Five Rings. It's a good read. It's no Old Man and the Sea, but it's a good read.
He kind of glances at it and smiles at her. Thanks. Hey, listen, you're welcome back here anytime, yeah? Even if I'm not in, just talk to the barmaid, talk to the bouncer, say you're looking for Limey. And, you ever need anything, I'll be there. And I don't say that to many people because it's between you and me. He kind of glances around. People kind of get on my tits. I don't know.
The cerebral are always irked by the infidel.
Huh?
The cerebral are always irked by the ignorant.
Yeah, maybe I'm just jaded. But I like you, Elena. Please, come back anytime. Be safe.
See you, Limey. Thanks. And she'll just bound out the door, very much looking like a silhouetted schoolchild with her backpack on.
Limey will kind of shake his head incredulously um, as she leaves, and then smile and kind of his head. And he does just what he said he would. He stares into his drink a little more, smokes a cigarette, and then walks upstairs to bed. And ladies and gentlemen, that is where we end our scene. Thank you, and cheers, Margot. Good night.